Hi guys, welcome back to another episode of FPL Backbenchers. I'm Somnath. Once again, I'm back. We are recording in the wee hours of 20th of October. It is today, and I'm as usual joined by my co-host Anjan. Anjan, how you been?
Well, I'm doing pretty good. What about you? How are you?
I'm doing really well, especially because we have somebody special joining us today. He is
Yeah,
one of the
true.
most known faces in the community, very enterprising and very active on Twitter, much more than both of us combined. He was also actually the manager who went the furthest in last season's FPL Cup from India. So if I have to put that into perspective, around 4.5 million people enter the game week. I mean the first round of FPL Cup after the qualification round, and he reached the top 16. So 16 people in the world, he was one of them. That too, I'll even elaborate it a bit more. The cup qualification happens in game week 16, and basically it is something that runs from game week 17 to game week 38. He got knocked out in game week 35, which essentially is like he was 3 game weeks away from winning the entire thing. And that too, he got knocked out on a very unlucky draw where it was, I think, virtually a coin toss as to how he lost the thing. So all of you guys basically who engaged in head to head, who are into FPL Cup, who are looking to take over the mini league rivals, keep your eyes peeled. Listen to this guy. He's the one that you have to listen to. Ariya, we are so glad to welcome you to FPL Backbenchers. Finally, it has happened, and especially I'm really happy that being a fellow Gooner, you are here and there to share my pain as well.
Thank you so much for that wonderful introduction. You and I go back such a long way, and we've been in sort of contact in our mini leagues and sort of competing in there for years. So it's finally lovely to be here, and I remember us having a conversation where you mentioned that you were thinking of starting a pod, and here you are, and here I'm on your pod, like so many episodes later. So this is sort of full circle moment right here, and I'm very happy to sort of finally be here, and I'm looking forward to this conversation. And I think it's so important to patronize those who you know and you like within the community, because there's always room for more voices. And I feel like you all are doing some really good quality content, and I hope that a lot of people, as a result of this episode and all of your work prior to this, actually patronize and subscribe to your work, and really support a voice in the community that's new and is putting in a hard work even in the wee hours of the night. So
Yeah, I have. You are experiencing that firsthand, by the way. So yeah, I mean, I absolutely, man. You have been actually very kind. Thank you for that, and we hope to. I do remember that conversation that we are having about this sport, and I was thinking about it. I was pondering about it. I think it was during the Euro time that whether I
yeah,
should
that's right.
go for it or not. So yeah, it's a proud moment that I actually do get to bring people that I have known about and have been playing around with for quite a long time in FPL now. I think I've known you for 5 6 years. So obviously we'll kickstart things. We will get into our game week scores for game week 8. But before that, Arya, I had to ask you something. As I was mentioning that I've known you for some time now, and even to me, as from an outside perspective, I think your cup run was very fascinating. I mean, especially considering I am somebody who probably sucks at FPL Cup. Where I think my highest finish has been game week 21, and it starts around game week 17. It used to start around game week 18 before. So I just have a one question. Like, could you explain what happened over there?
So as you've seen me in the mini leagues sort of over the years, and I think last season was by far my most successful, and it sort of really happened, and then you sort of take a step back and think, wow, that was really something special. And I think having had the some hindsight and some time to think about it, I do think that that was a really special thing that happened, because normally every year when you play the FPL Cup, people don't really focus on it. They think of the classic league more. they want to go up their ranks, and that's a very natural thing to do because for almost 17 weeks prior to that, that's all you're focused on. You're focused on going up in the ranks and trying to sort of stay within touching distance, say, of whatever your aim is, whether it's top 10K or whatever you want to finish at the end of the season. We're all focusing on that, and suddenly the cup begins midway through the season, and suddenly you've got to switch your focus to if you really want to do well there. And of course, there's an element of luck. There's an element of guesswork as well. But somehow, like, every week I just kept progressing and progressing through, and then I started to realize that, wait a second, I may be onto something here, that maybe this could really sort of go the distance. And somehow the whole community, started getting really interested in my run, my cup run, and every week somehow the other, I was making sure I was getting through each week, and I was so within touching distance of the, I could almost sort of smell the finale, and I had one chip in hand. But I think there were some very crazy events that happened, just like, the if you remember last season,
Yeah,
there was a
we
fan
will be
protest.
getting to that. Before that,
Sure,
we
sure, yeah,
will definitely discuss your cup run. Before that,
absolutely.
before you start explaining, because I know where you're
Sure.
getting at with Liverpool,
Right, right.
Manchester United match miss, and the triple game week. Eventually, that's
Triple game,
where the
triple
cup
game
run,
week.
yeah, the cup
Yeah.
run ended for you there. Spoiler alert. But
Mm.
what I want to ask is, like, once you got into the cup run, and so when is the time exactly that you felt that this is something that I probably should go for? So what was like in a game week a number kind of a mark, like where you
Yeah.
felt like, okay, now probably should concentrate on cup now.
So I think it was around game week 24 when there was one match where it was very improbable that I would make it through that round. It was, I needed, I think, about 10 points and I had only Lingard remaining, and my opponent had Antonio. And Antonio at that point in the season had been in crazy form. And what ended up happening is that within sort of after hitting the bar, Antonio gets injured and taken off in 20 minutes. So my opponent gets 1 point of Antonio. And Lingard in that match, I think, scores an assist twice and gets 3 bonus points. So I just end up getting the exact number of points required just to go over that. And then when that happened, I remember telling myself this before going to sleep that night, that because this match was late at night in India time, that if in case I get through this week, I am going to focus all my energies on the cup, and this cup is going to be my, what I focus on in the season. And that's sort of how it started. I think around game week 24 when that actually happened, and I was actually through that round by like 1 point. I was like, this is meant to be. I'm supposed to really focus on that because it's very slim chances, and somehow all the things that needed to happen happened. And I was like, okay, it flipped a switch in my head, and I'm like, I'm gonna go for this.
Yeah, so yeah, that's like an amazing story. So you need the exact points, you get those exact points. It almost sounds like fantasy. Yeah, so
Yeah.
that's what you're playing, right? So it's yeah, it does sound like fantasy. So that's obviously an amazing story. So and then like now you can go ahead and I don't remember exactly the game week where United and Liverpool had that match where the
Yeah.
fans took over the stadium, and eventually that match did not happen. But at that time, probably you were not that affected because that particular game week, I think you were comfortably going through, right?
Yeah.
You did not feel like
Exactly.
this will be coming back to bite you
Yeah.
along the line. So
Um,
if you could elaborate what happened and how the events transpired later.
So if you remember, there was last season there was the European Super League, and there was a lot of fan backlash as a result of the Super League. So the biggest sort of, I guess, the most visual remembrance that people will remember is that there was a pitch invasion where the fans invaded Old Trafford, and they were on the pitch, and because of that invasion, the match ended up getting postponed. This was Man United versus Liverpool game, and because of that, this was game week 34, and I was anyway leading by some good 20 odd points. So I was pretty comfortable when this match got cancelled. I was like, even better. I don't have any menu assets, this, and this, a lucky break, all of that. But then the next week, and this is hasn't happened, I think, since
I think it was
2006 or
happened
something.
after a decade or something.
Yeah, or decade. Yeah.
Middlesbrough was the last team to get a triple game week. I remember that particular.
Middlesbrough got a triple game week. Yeah, last and
Brighton, I guess. Brighton, or I think West Brom, I guess.
It was
West Brom.
Middlesbrough.
Don't.
Yeah.
Oh, I
and
think it
no, there
was.
was a Middlesbrough long back as well. I remember some of people sharing screenshots of that, and I was like, wow, I actually had never heard of a triple game week since I've been playing FPL, and I've been playing since 2012. So I was quite surprised that they did that because they could have easily bifurcated it into two double game weeks or so and so, but somehow they chose a triple game week, which was unprecedented. And I had no Man United players, so I was like, oh my god, this is and my opponent had three United players. So three
Wow.
United players into three fixtures is nine fixtures that I had no players for, and my opponent had, sort of all three players. So I knew that I was going to struggle that week. But I also knew that I had a bench boost handy, which I was saving right till the end, which I was hoping to use only in the finals. But I knew that if I can't get through this round, there's no point of thinking ahead. So I deployed my bench boost, but even then, I was counting up each of the fixtures because of the nine fixture advantage that my opponent had. I knew it was going to be up against it. And then the funniest thing happened. That game week is the one I think you guys will remember. I had Aguero in my team because I wanted to take advantage of him playing his last final fixtures in a Man City shirt, and he had a penalty which was cruelly he took a
Oh, man.
Panenka and it got saved. So you don't get those points, and then there was a red card for Dunk, and there were a few yellow cards, and I was like, everything that had to go wrong was starting to go wrong in that game week,
I had
and
Mendy that
finally,
week, the guy who saved that penalty. He did not
right.
basically save it. He just had to catch it.
Uh,
He got free
he
wound. I
he
remember
he
that.
barely, yeah, he could have saved it after
I'm
lounging on
going
the
to
beach and
smiling
coming back.
because Chelsea won that match, I think.
Yeah, yeah, all of that happened. So
Yeah.
anyway, it looked like for all the world that I was definitely out of it. I was chasing about 21 odd points. I had only Jota and Martinez and Target left, and my opponent had multiple players remaining. I was like, "There's no way this is happening." In fact, this particular fixture was up against one of FPL or the founder of sort of fantasy football scout Mark Southerns,
Yeah.
one of the goats of FPL, one of the most famous players. His friend was the one who was my opponent,
Yeah.
and what ended up happening is that he spoke about it on FPL Black Box that, oh, this Ariya, he doesn't have any chance in the world. He's trailing by 21 points. There's no way he can do this. And then the craziest thing happened where basically one after the other things started falling in. Martinez and Target both, they got a clean sheet. So, 12 points there. And then, the final game, Jota is in my team and he scores a goal. I'm like, oh my God, I'm within touching distance now of the the points required to equal it out. And somehow the other I was one bonus point short of Target sort of getting a one bonus point, which would have been sufficient for me to win that game week. But the game week ended on a draw, and draw in an FPL Cup is decided on goals scored. And because my opponent had Greenwood, and Greenwood I think scored a couple of goals that week, and so somehow Jota's goal wasn't enough. So by one goal short, and on equal points, I ended up bowing out of the FPL Cup, and that was I mean, a sort of a poetic ending because I didn't lose on points. I ended up losing on a sort of a technicality, I would say. So I felt quite proud, and it was befitting. It was befitting the 20 odd game weeks that had really focused on the cup and performed there. So that was my story, and thank you for allowing me to share that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's why it's so fascinating because there were a lot of like dramatic turns, and eventually,
Oh
even
my
when
god!
you had to like lose out or like bow out from the competition, it was on this. I mean, it was unprecedented. Like, it will come down to the same points and then it will come down to goals scored, and like never heard that. Very honestly, never knew anybody who had actually progressed this far in the cup. So I was genuinely proud. I think I buzzed you also for the last 3 4 game weeks. Like, go
Yes,
ahead, and
I remember.
I specifically wanted to tell you to get Greenwood, but I felt like you go on the run, so like let's not hamper your thought process in that sense. But yeah, it was amazing to actually watch about, right? Anyways, speaking of having an amazing run, you are having a pretty good season this time around as well, and especially you had a very good game week. So I'll just bring up your team first, Arya.
Sure, sure.
You had scored 66 points this particular game week. So what went right for you when a lot of people have struggled?
So, unlike a lot of people in the community who had saved up the wild card for this week, I had actually used mine earlier at game week 4 because I required some surgery in my team. And I'm not a big fan of taking hits, especially after last season when I just took about only 6 hits across the whole season. I was like, okay, I'm going to, I like this hit minimization strategy. So I'm going to limit taking hits, especially early on in the season. So I used my wild card in game week 4, and it's my team's sort of been all right since. And so what happened this week when a lot of people used their wild card is that they thought a lot of players were nailed on, like a Diaz or like a Jimenez or a Reece James or there were a lot of players that were really hyped within the community where people brought them in droves and hoped for the best. But unfortunately, it didn't pay off for them. For what worked for me was that I had a lot of players which are safely within the template, but also I knew had safety of starts, and I also had a bench which I knew would cover in case there weren't any surprises. So for me, what worked this week was, of course, my captaincy, which I went on Mr. Reliable, Egyptian King Salah, who returned handsomely once again. And I think he's having the season of his life so far,
Yeah.
and which is tall order because he's had 4 great seasons already. So that was good. So 26 points right there. Um, a lot of my defense all held up. I had sort of clean sheets all across the board, from Sanchez to Duffy to Alexander Arnold, and even Alonso, who didn't play, ended up subbing, getting auto subbed for Livramento, who also got 6 points. So a lot of points, racked up in the defense. Greenwood also got a goal. So all in all, it was a fairly good game week, given that everyone was using a chip, or practically a lot of people were using that chip this week. So, given that, a big fat green arrow for me, about 40% increase in rank, and my transfer working out as well. So, I'm pretty happy. I think this was a good game week for me to do this pod. So,
What heartens me to see is that you own Greenwood. So again, somebody who can share my pain. I also own Greenwood, and I think it has been a painful run for us to own Greenwood
yeah.
since probably game week 4. I don't
Mm.
know why he's still in my team. Uh, Apart from that, I will get on to your team. I mean, like we'll obviously discuss your team for the upcoming game week. Looking at that, I just wanted to ask, like, anybody came on from your bench for this particular game week? Like anybody auto subbed in?
Yeah, I think Livramento came on. He was my transfer this week, transfer in. So I took out Amarte from last week, who's somehow still in my team, and finally got rid of him for Livramento. I was very tempted to take a -4 for Cancelo, but I didn't want to take a risk because I felt like Southampton had a safe fixture, and they've been they've been defensively pretty strong this season, and Livramento's been one of the best enablers at that price point. So I thought I can't ignore Livramento anymore. So I went for him. Didn't take any hits. I've taken 0 hits this season, which I'm also proud of. Yeah, I don't know. Sometimes hits can pay off uh, sooner or later, but like I didn't. So far, I've been risk averse and I've been fairly happy with the results thus far.
So Livramento came in place of which defender?
Of Alonso. So Alonso
Alonso,
came out,
Alonso.
yeah, and so thankfully, see, Alonso is one of those upside chasing sort of pick where if he played, he would have gotten, a lot of
Probably
points,
what Phil will
hopefully.
go. Yeah.
Yeah, so I just assume that if Alonso even plays, say next week, for example, unless I ship him out, which I'm not looking to right now, I do think that he's one of those picks which when he plays he's going to return a lot of points, but he may not play every week because he's going to sub with Chilwell, who's also in a great run of form. So
True. So, like, you're not worried about City and Chelsea coverage that is going around in the community?
I feel like those two teams are the hardest to predict in terms of who's going to play, who's not going to play. Pep
Hmm?
roulette and sort of tombola on the other end. It's just difficult. And so, like, because I didn't have a wild card, I didn't want to, take hits to bring in and get that coverage going. Because I feel like, a lot of people got in Diaz this week, and he just got 1 point coming off the bench for a late cameo. So it's like stuff like that. You with these managers, both of them, they love tinkering with the squad. They're in sort of European competitions. They're in cup competitions. They need to balance, and so I just don't trust anyone in either of those teams to sort of really warrant having. I've seen a lot of teams with four, two Chelsea, two City defenders. I'm like, I just don't like doubling up on defenders because one clean sheet wipeout and then you've lost both, and you've invested a fair amount of value, right? You put in about 5.6 to 6.3 million into each of these defenders, and if they blank, then you're really, really screwed because you could use that for a very good midfielder at that same price point.
True. So, I think that's a good segue into the next question that I wanted to ask you, Arya. I mean, your
Sure.
game week score discussion went a bit far. So, I just wanted to ask you, like, if I ask you, I know, but for the benefit of the audience and the listeners, like, how would you define yourself as an FPL manager?
Mm.
Are you like a risk
Mm.
averse manager, or you are like a very conservative? Any particular way you play FPL at all?
Yeah, that's a very good question. And so I'll tell you how I've traditionally played the game. So traditionally, and I think it didn't change much except for the focusing on the cup last season. Besides that, it's been sort of similar across many seasons since 2012. So what I do is I try to watch as many games as possible. So the eye test is important for me. If certain players looking very dangerous in the games which I'm watching, I think they become very big on my mindset to bring them in. Besides the eye test, I'll also go on gut feeling as well. I love sometimes instincts tell you a lot, which sometimes your brain may not be able to sort of reason, and sometimes those instincts sort of more often than not are very very good because that's what your gut told you to begin with. So I feel like people, I know stats is a big thing in the community, and I of course do look at stats. It's not like I don't anymore. If you're on Twitter, like myself, and as much as I am, unfortunately, on Twitter, that you do get exposed to a lot of stats and analysis, etc. But I personally still make transfers based on gut feeling, based on transfers in, based on price rises. I try to sort of keep it simple and not overcomplicated. I don't listen to too many pods. I don't listen to too much YouTube stuff. I try to limit that because it can influence your own decision making. So I'm someone who is a little risk averse. I don't like taking too many hits. I don't chase too many crazy differentials. I try to keep my team close to the template with one or two or maybe three differentials at best, so that it's within, so that I have that opportunity to climb up the rank quickly with a few differentials, while the rest of the team manages to hold and anchor my rank, so that things like effective ownership and things which we sort of never considered in the past. Now that you know things like that exist, that you should
Thank you,
have team.
Raghavoli. Yeah.
Yes. So because of things like livefpl.net, and thanks to Raga for that wonderful free service that we get. Yeah, things like that is so important. So for me, I am risk averse. I trust my gut feeling. I like the eye test of watching games. I don't watch too many pods to influence my opinion. I like stats, but I don't let it. I don't let anything crowd my opinion except for transfers in a game week, potential price rises so that I can build team value. And finally, if in case someone's fixture is just standing out too much. So fixtures are also a good indicator of who, like, prime example being Lukaku this week, who's got like an amazing fixture. and he's the talisman of that team. So it's like, do you bet against it? Do you not? One of those questions. Yeah.
So you do play pay stock to price rises as such.
Uh, Initially, I feel like building team value is important. So early days, I don't like being priced out too early, because what happens later in the season is that across 38 weeks, when you've been not catching price rises, you've sort of really struggled with those. Oh, there's point one value missing, there's point two value missing, and that hurts because you're like, it's a perfect transfer, and it's going to get you a lot of points, but that requires doing two hits or something to achieve. So then it's out of question. So I like early in the season catching price rises, and later in the season sort of, you know, chasing value and chasing those in form.
Sure. Uh, Next question I would like to ask is, like, do you set any yourself any particular targets at the start of the season, like what you want to achieve
Yeah,
for
I
the season?
never did. It was primarily for many years just chasing my mini league and trying to do well there and trying to finish, within certain positions, which would be lucrative for those of us playing. But I think off late in the last few seasons, as I've done better and better, I feel like I've been trying to get to that elusive top 10K, which I think is every season that top 10K means more, because more and more millions of players get added to FPL. So suddenly 10K out of 10 million is a lot better than 10K out of 8 million, or 6 million, or 5 million, like in previous seasons. So I feel like chasing 10K today is of the highest value than at any other point in history. So being able to achieve that would kind of put you in a league of your own. And I feel like somehow that figure is reflected on whenever you see, say, Scout or anywhere else. Oh, this player's finished in top 10K so many times, or something like that. So I feel like that's a good unicorn to chase. But besides that, I think again, mini leagues, for me now, cup is important. I feel like now that I've had a good run last season and still technically unbeaten on points for 20 weeks, I want to continue that run a little more, and hopefully, put in a little bit of a niche for myself, because it's so important that when someone's big on captaincy, or someone has a big pod, or someone has this and that, I feel like having some niche for yourself. So for me, I want to be the guy for FPL Cup or head to heads, and because I think there is a certain skill to it, there is certain analysis and a way to sort of approach it, which can sort of bring you some success.
Yeah, I remember having chat with my. I mean, I never told you this. I was having a chat with another friend of mine, right? A friend of the pod once again, and he and me were just generally discussing that even before the cup had started. So there was so much variance in last season, as in
Yeah.
not exactly all the big performers were performing aptly. Son and Kane were doing outstandingly well. Others were not doing so much. So it was like he said that anybody who wins the FPL Cup this season, hats up to that guy, because if he can beat so many teams with so much variance, so that's like something really commendable. And that's why I think Arya, your run was absolutely fascinating, because ideally for a lot of us who are playing for a long time now, it was not essentially a very easy season to deal with, because there were a lot of curveballs. There were a lot of things that we were probably not used to, like fans not being there, that affected the games in a certain way. Essentially, all the games became a training ground kind of an exercise where probably the team with the better technicality, better skill won the matches. So home and away did not really make any factor as such. So, anyways, so yeah, it was absolutely lovely chatting to you, getting to know you a bit better. I hope the community also got to know you a bit. We will be speaking with you throughout the pod. Let's move on to Anjan's game week score of 8. He's absolutely looking at Arya in a spellbound manner. Anjan, you don't need that. You're already beating me in the mini league. You're ahead of. You don't need to take any more tips from Arya. Let's look at Anjan's team. You wildcarded
Sure.
Anjan. So why don't you take
Yeah,
us to your team?
well, I scored 57 points. It was
Mhm.
like pretty average kind of score.
Were you happy with your
I was
wildcard?
like, not that exactly.
Okay.
Well,
You did. Do you regret your
Uh,
discussion with me regarding the wildcard?
a little bit, I guess.
Talked you out of a lot of players. Yeah. Eventually,
Yeah,
I'm really sorry that
yeah.
was not my intention, but eventually, whoever I talked Anjan out of, all of them scored. Yeah, that's how
And
it comes sometimes. Yeah.
yeah, actually, I had a like gut feeling for Aubameyang, and I thought like, okay, Arsenal next two fixtures are like they are good in a scoring way, and plus probably he had a very good record in home. So I thought, okay, he should he should be there with some points. But the problem is that the main worry for me was okay, the next match, which like I won't be having Lukaku for home against Norwich. So that was the main worry. And thinking about that, actually, I thought, okay, oh, I will go with a safer option. So the, that's that's one issue. And like last part also, I said, okay, if you want to go, if you want to go without Trent, I think this particular 3-4 weeks was the best time to go without him. And still like I went with him, thinking about like his ownership and all those stuff. So that was, I think, okay kind of move. Not that bad actually. Uh, but that sun rumor and with COVID and all those stuff, that was very frustrating actually. That was very frustrating.
Yeah, I remember. I even tweeted this that sometimes probably it is better to play like a. I mean, I'm not saying people are casual, but probably
Hmm.
Yeah,
not be so much involved into Twitter and all because eventually sometimes it's just like too much to take. I mean, I know for a fact Anjan was there, and I probably if Sun would have been fit, he would have come into my consideration, considering the fact that they are playing Newcastle, and I did have the resource to actually go for Sun. I do have some funds lying idly around. Well, coming back to the point as what Anjan was saying. First of all, regarding the Oba thing, Anjan, I think that's your fault. You should not have taken an Arsenal fan's opinion, and I think Arya can back me on this. My rationale,
100%.
my rationale for not to go for Oba is because Arteta is confusing sometimes because there are matches that Oba does not finish the entire 90, and I personally don't like to own players on a wild card or essentially any time those who do not complete 90 minutes. Because if you don't complete 90 minutes, you are reducing your chance to actually score.
Hmm.
Granted, Auba actually started off and he scored that goal within 8 minutes, which was a very difficult goal. He made it look very easy. But then again, as I predicted, that's how Arsenal played. I mean, we will obviously be discussing about Arsenal later, but yeah, that's what happened there. Uh, Apart from that, I think I said regarding wildcard, I will be very scared if I am doing a wildcard and if I'm not having a wildcard later going without Trent because essentially you are booking two transfers, you will have to bring Trent, right, at some point of time. So I was like, I would be really uncomfortable going without Trent. It's really unfortunate that James did not play and Silwell had to score this particular game week. But yeah, I think more than removing Chilwell, I think not having Trent was the bigger threat. Probably it does not look like that right now, but it will because there you can see me and Arya, we are still stuck with Greenwood. I mean, he was still stuck with Amate, poor guy. People will be like, why are these people on board? They don't even. But there is always some other fires to burn, something to put out, right? So yeah, that was basically my rationale. And I think you were considering going without Lukaku. For me, I
yeah.
don't know. I understand he's not in probably the form. He's probably not the talisman that Arya is saying as to how the game is suggesting right now. That probably he's not the talismanic figure. We don't exactly know who will from Chelsea will be scoring, but still,
No means actually I would my plan was I would eventually start with Overman and I would keep fund so that if needed I can shift from Uva to Lukaku or like Antonio to Lukaku. But
So yeah,
again, those
eventually, like
plans are right
one
now.
funds more often than not they don't come out, and especially when you're wildcarding, you're already going into wildcard with booking a transfer. So like it did not make sense to me. Sorry, buddy, if you lost out on point, but I'm sure your wildcard looks good. Things would look up. You also had Foden as well. Lucky for us
Yeah,
non-wildcarders that Greenwood actually covered Foden. I was really scared
no,
about Foden.
no, actually, Foden was okay, fine, but I feel like I was quite lucky with two clean sheet from my City asset.
Yeah, actually, both
Cancela,
City defenders
yeah,
actually playing, and
played
considering there
actually.
was this rumor that Ake might be starting and John Stones is starting, nobody would have probably predicted that Laporte will be playing as a left back. So yeah, there's something there. Or I don't know, Ake was playing a left
No, no,
back. I don't exactly remember. Some one of
Ake
them,
was playing left back actually.
yeah, one of them was playing a left back. Anyways,
Hmm.
moving on to my team, which was the worst of the lot. But I'm okay with it because I scored 55 points. I did not use any transfers. I rolled over my transfers. I have two free transfers right now. Uh, yeah, there's nothing much to specify apart from the fact that Mo Salah is absolutely on fire and Greenwood literally saved my ass this particular game week. Barring that, I think I was just happy. Oh, I was not happy about Shaw. There's a special mention about Shaw part of the squad.
Oh,
So
yes.
yeah, essentially I was playing with 10 players thanks to Shaw. Yeah, he is
I
really
still
good.
remember your message that okay, so considered.
I don't play.
Ah,
Let me tell you a bit about my way of playing the game. I'm on the other end of the spectrum to Ariya. I don't mind taking hits, and I'm taking this guy out no matter what. Even if I have to take a hit to take this guy out, it's just
Mm.
a vibe. I don't know. Till the time he's in my team, I was having a chat with a couple of my Twitter friends, and they were like, "You should not be basing your things upon history." I'm not basing it on history because if I would have based it on history, I would not have started with Shaw. But he's doing the exact same thing that he did last season. He gave me a net point of -1 last season. I think he's progressing towards that this season once again. I don't want to be a part of that, right? I'm sorry. So yeah, that's about it. 55 points. Yeah, went down. I think. By some, I mean, not a very big green red arrow, but yeah, I'm happy with a small red, I guess, considering this was a heavily wildcarded pick from most people in the community. Let's look on to the game week that went by. We'll do a quick preview. I just realized that every week I write these small notes and probably, nobody end up reading them. So I will actually start reading them out a bit and then we can discuss the match. So the first match of the game week was Watford against Liverpool, Ranieri's first match. Liverpool absolutely blew them apart. What I have written is Liverpool shed Watford, Salah probably best in the world, and it's Bobby time now. What do you guys have to say?
I mean, all of that is accurate for that game week. I just think that since Bobby's also started in the Champions League for Liverpool right now as we speak, I don't know if he'll play three matches in such a short succession. So, being a Jota owner, I have a little bit of hope that maybe Jota can play for at least 70 odd minutes this coming week. But I think Firmino's hat trick, will be hard for Klopp to drop him. But the matches have come quite quickly. Like he just played last game week. He's playing midweek. I don't know if he'll play 90 minutes in the coming weekend as well. So that gives me some hope because then at least I can maybe take out Jota a week later and not focus on him. So that's my personal bias there. But yeah, those are good observations. I think.
Especially considering that Jota actually has a very good fixture.
no,
Hmm.
actually, Firmino can be rested in the midweek also. After this week, they have a mid cup game. So,
Right.
like, exactly, you can't say right now, okay, who would be starting. But I feel like after this hat trick, Firmino has a far better chance of starting than Thiago Jota, I think. Or might be you can see Mane being rested also.
I
And
think case to the point will be like probably Firmino will not end the 90 minutes, but I
mm,
do see a scenario wherein probably all four of them start together. All four of them, I mean Salah, Mane, Firmino, and Jota. So, uh, thing with that is, even I'm a Jota owner, and I'm more hoping than I'm confident that Jota will be taking part in this particular match because
Yeah.
traditionally, if you see Manchester United versus Liverpool is a derby kind of an affair. Joke apart, obviously Manchester United are down and all, but they will be pumped up for this because it's kind of an important derby for them. Losing this is actually a bigger deal than probably losing to Villa for Man United fans. So yeah, Klopp generally does not like to employ Jota in the difficult matches. So I was very sure that he'll not be starting that Atleti match, which he did not do. He did not start the Atletico Madrid match. But I think I don't see Firmino finishing or completing the 90 minutes. So I do see a world wherein Jota should be starting, or at least should be part of the game some ways. Considering he was part of the game against City, I don't see any reason why he shouldn't be part of the game against United. So
like
yeah, that's
so
all.
like
Yeah.
okay, like are you guys would be happy if like having 20 minutes from him?
No, no, no. I mean, unless he scores in that 20 minutes. But no, no, we're definitely not happy with that. I mean, but I think that Firmino playing sort of Saturday, Tuesday, and then again on the weekend is quite a lot on a player who's not traditionally known to sort of be a 90-minute player.
But then again,
And
he
Firmino,
missed the international break, right? So he is probably
Yeah.
less
true,
fatigued
true,
because there was no travel
definitely.
for him. He was entirely at Anfield. And
True, but if in case something happened to Firmino, would you, as club, when you have a fit Jota on the bench, who's played a lot of games this season already, um, I don't. I mean, I personally think that Jota starts the game. I could be wrong, but there's always a risk with him. So I'm not. I don't think Jota's long-term hold. I don't think that's the fire I want to extinguish this week. I
I,
think
I, I,
Ronaldo's
I
the.
I really need Jota for this particular game. I need him to be present
Yeah,
because I
same. I need
need
him
him,
too. So
need
we're
him
we're
for this.
hoping. We're more hopeful
Yeah, we are more hoping than
than
actually.
Yeah,
sure.
more happy actually. Okay.
Yeah.
Next
Anyway.
match was Villa against Wolves. It was a five-goal thriller. So
Mm.
my observations to that is set piece dismantled Villa in the last 7 minutes, and this is unbelievable to me because I remember my phone did not have much charge, so I had switched it off. I just quickly switched it on to check around 84th minute, so like what was happening, and I was seeing Villa was winning 2-0, and then I switched it off, and later when I charged and everything, and I saw that Villa lost. So yeah, in the last 7 minutes they kind of self-imploded themselves. They self-imploded and lose to Wolves in a five-goal thriller, and all of them were from some kind of a set piece.
Actually, in I think in our last pod also I did mention about Villa's defensive worries because they are not defending that particularly well. Uh, so I thought like okay they would concede definitely, but I didn't thought that okay they would concede 3 goals against Wolves.
Yeah, I mean, like probably they are not the elite defense that they were last season, Martinelli's
Mm.
debut season in Villa. But I would not consider them to be very bad defensively even this season as well. I think the goals were more to the fact that Matty Cash got, I think, substituted around the 79th minute or something with a dead leg. He's a very big factor for Villa right now because uh, from what I've seen this season, Matt Target does not seem to be ball right now. He is not essentially performing very well. And plus, we also have to consider the fact that Emi Martinez actually traveled across the globe and to play the match. He was playing a match literally 36 hours before this particular
That
match,
is the case.
and he traveled and he played this match. So the fatigue factor was bound to come in. Unluckily for them, did came in the last 10 minutes and they conceded twice. Uh, I think the interesting thing to note from this particular match, what was there is that Jimenez did not start, and Wong, for many people who had taken a punt on the wild card, actually started as the forward. And for me, what this particular game establishes that Wang cannot play as the lone forward. So, if in case Jimenez is missing, he essentially is not a very good choice because he was continually trying to run back and he was kind of a bit clueless as to how to operate in that particular system. How do you,
No,
what do you
actually,
think?
no,
Yeah,
actually, like, actually, if you have seen the match, you could see Wang was like strolling up backwards. All those presses were coming from Podence, Taure. So Wang was like strolling up backwards a lot. So I feel like this particular performance was very, like, it was not up to that mark, and I don't feel like he would be a very good choice playing as a lone striker.
your opinions, Arya? Anything that you?
Yeah, I feel like Huang, I think based on one thread on Twitter, really became the focus of a lot of people in the community.
He
A lot
was
of
like the
people
hot
were upping
topic.
it.
Yeah.
I- In fact, it was my sort of friend from Twitter Spaces, Sonaldo, who actually sort of pushed Huang into the spotlight. And I just never understood the hype because I get a lot of people in the wild card. You can sort of choose to take some differential punts, and I think Huang became that because of his price point. But you're right. Without Jimenez, see Jimenez and him playing together is where the real, strike partnership fear is at. So if they both of them start, there's potential for them. But I just don't particularly, think Wolves are going to be, scoring very many goals. I know they scored three in the final minutes, but I think what you touched upon of Martinez's fatigue, playing 90 minutes right after playing it, and the jet lag, all of that plays a part. And I think they've not set up really well defensively for set pieces, and that's something they have to address ASAP because they don't have, they're gonna have I think Arsenal next. Not like we're known for
We
being
will not
great
trouble
at.
them at all defensively.
Yeah, yeah, we probably wouldn't really bother them at
It's
all.
Emi Martinez coming back to Emirates
Oh,
in
I think he's gonna get a lot of saves to prove a point.
Both are like both are like acting to the same point over there.
Yeah, yeah. As Arsenal fans, I mean, personally, being pretty against Arteta myself, I've pretty much convinced myself not to take any Arsenal players unless there's something miraculous that starts happening there. And there was a mini miracle sort of happening after the first 3 weeks. But even then, I wasn't fully convinced. I don't think I'll ever be convinced about Arteta. I think he was just a coffee boy for Guardiola. And I don't think, coffee boys can really be great managers. Definitely not of clubs at the caliber of Arsenal. We're a team that's being spoken about, of a valuation of over $2 billion, and you put it on the youngest manager in the league who has literally no coaching experience before this. It just seems sad that it's come to that, and I'm sorry if I'm ranting as an Arsenal fan about at this point, but it's just sad because I don't think that even with Villa and their defensive worries, I don't think Arsenal is going to really bother them much from things like set pieces, which we should target, given that our goals haven't been consistent. One thing you can do to sort of bolster that would be to do good set pieces, good free kicks, good corner routines. But if you watch the last game, we got a little lucky right at the end, got an equalizer last minute. Oh, that was, I'm not convinced about Arsenal yet, and it'll take me a lot of good consistent performances to consider anyone. And since Aston Villa is the topic or part of the topic, they're definitely going to be a team to target in terms of the defense isn't great. I do think that Ings and Watkins up front is a good combination who will get some points, but given their price bracket, I don't know if it's of that great value across the season. So I don't really
Especially, I
see much
mean,
from Wolves or Villa, to be fair.
yeah, especially with Ings. absolutely not nailing the penalty thing, and I think probably Watkins will be a much better choice if
Yeah, I
to
agree. I
go.
like Watkins. Yeah.
He has a wider range of point potential. Like he can assist, he can cut back in, he can score, he can do a
Hmm.
wide range of stuff. It
I
will
feel
just
like
yeah.
yeah, I feel like Bila would like Bila fixtures would turn good in some time, I guess. And I feel like the injury return of Bailey would be a factor for them.
I don't know. I mean, I'm sorry. I'm not disrespectful to anybody. This season somehow generally the Villa players don't really excite me. I haven't given them a thought at all. I don't think I'll be owning any Villa players anytime soon. I did start with the Matt Target, but that was about it because they had, I think, three home matches. He absolutely sucked ball in all those three matches. So, like, yeah, I really, I'm not very, I mean, I'm sorry, I'm not being disrespectful to Aston Villa. I think they are a great club, but FPL wise, I don't find them really exciting at this point of time. It's
Agreed.
funny. I was about to say that how the conversation got diverted towards Arsenal in a Aston Villa and Wolves conversation, but mm, I guess that's what happens when two Arsenal fans are there on the pod. We really get to discuss our pain. Yeah, we will discuss it further in Arsenal against Crystal Palace, last match of the game week. Moving on to another club in distress. It was Leicester against Man United. Leicester dominated. Leicester dominated staying power as Man United continue to look poor with each passing game week. So they are kind of finding another level to go down to performance, and I don't know if I'm happy about it or not, but I don't feel much sad about them. But yeah, it's surprising to see. It's
Yeah.
actually turning out exactly how I was envisioning it to turn out when they went for Ronaldo, and it was an unpopular opinion amongst my friends and my Manu fans that he will eventually regress the team rather than progress the team. And everybody was like, no, his influence and everybody will learn quick. Probably they can still turn it around, but I don't see. I think they were working towards the plan, and he kind of is the person you cannot drop. And then you have to change the entire system, which particularly does not suit the player that you have built for the past couple of years towards. So yeah, that's about it. I mean, I think they are the team to target right now. What do you guys think?
Yeah, actually, Norwich have more clean sheet than Man United. Actually,
Oh man, that's brutal. No, you're right. I mean, I thought Leicester were in bad form or looked bad defensively, but across the season. But Man United have been just sliding and sliding. They were lucky earlier in the season. There was one last minute goal, last minute penalty miss, etc. So they've been kind of scraping through and kind of under the radar a little bit. And now I think their frailties and their flaws are being out to display, and their dirty laundry is sort of you know visible to everyone. So yeah, they are the team target. I don't think defensively they're doing much. I think Shaw, Maguire, and the whole lot are not showing that cohesiveness that usually, like last season's United showed. So it's definitely worrying for United fans out there, and I know there are a lot of them out there. Um, I fear for them for the Liverpool game because Liverpool are in red hot form, and I don't think the defense can handle like a Salah, Mane, Firmino, Jota, that sort of a blistering and great attack. I don't know if their defenders can sustain that. And I know this is, I mean, this is why great players come good. So if Ronaldo ever has to show that he still has that value, and I do think that he will have those games where he'll have a chance to do that. This could be one of those. Though with Liverpool's defense, I don't know how many he's going to get past them. Um, so yeah, I think Manu is worrisome, and Leicester are hit and miss. Are not great in defense, but I think Vardy's great asset who's been consistently scoring. I think he's got 5-6 returns already this season, and yeah, I think he's just one of those great all-time assets to have. He's just priced too high, I think. I feel like if he was priced below 10.10 million, I think a lot of people would have thought about him. But at 10.5 and above, it's just hard to consider Vardy unless you're not going for Lukaku, given the fixtures coming up.
True. I mean, in my mind, I particularly don't have any doubt that Liverpool will be winning the match against United. I don't see a world where any other result probably is possible. I mean, what should be worrying for Man United fans is like they made Leicester look good, and that's like this was a match amongst two diabolical teams who have been very on and off this season, and they actually made Leicester. Kagla Soyanko looked good. He scored a goal. The guy cannot defend. So I mean, it was amazing, and I don't know. Generally, I feel I have kind of reduced as to how much minutes I'm watching of United right now. But I feel that particular interest or that hoopla around Ronaldo, that's kind of a bit dying down a little, and I think Ronaldo is also losing out on a bit of energy because what he was showing in the first few game weeks, that probably is not there because things are not going according to him. Essentially, like he wants a lot of crosses, he wants million crosses to come into the box, and because he's at the age right now, he will not be dropping deep back and creating stuff. He is there to score the goals, but they are not being able to provide a service because they have not essentially played out of the back. They are more of a counter-attacking team, as what we have seen for the past 2 years since Ole has taken over. And suddenly that has to change because Ronaldo is there. So I don't know. I would not go to the extent of saying that they are worse than Norwich. They will always remain in that kind of diabolical fixture. You will obviously not captain anybody against United. I mean, Salah has United. We know probably he'll score, but we will not be captaining Salah against United because still it is United, right? Anything can happen. It's a big match. It's Old Trafford crowd. Anything can happen. There are actually Ariya talks of a return of the history thing that this match can again be cancelled and fans can take over. Luckily for you, the FPL Cup has not started this time, right?
Thank God.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't. I will not go to that extent as I was saying that they are the team target right now. But I generally don't want anything to do with any of the players. I absolutely want to get rid of Shaw ASAP and also Greenwood. I don't know if I can find a way to get rid of Greenwood. He has done nothing wrong, to be very honest. Had he been playing in the same system that he was playing from the last season, I think he would have been at a much higher score this season. He was a very good priced midfield asset who was playing out of position essentially forward. And yeah, it's a missed chance FPL wise. Um, moving on, next match was
Actually,
uh,
no, actually, I just wanted to say something. I think this Leicester forward, apart from Bardi, Iheanacho, I think he started. I think last two games, and if he is if he is getting a start regularly, he would be a very good value. He just priced at 7 million,
yeah,
and like
he
they are
thank you for reminding me that. I think Nacho is very interesting. One essential thing for Nacho, which I see from Rogers' point of view, is that he needs three at the back for Nacho to play because then it becomes a 3-5-2 for any other
three five
formation. He eventually chooses to drop out Nacho, which is very surprising considering like end of last season, I think he was in sensational form
Yeah,
and
yeah,
he ended up scoring I think 12 goals in 17 matches, which was
13 goals.
unprecedented because we did not expect Iheanacho to be performing on that level. And he's actually generally good because those goals that he scored in the last half of the tournament, like season last time around, they did not look like fluke goals or lucky goals or in the moment goals. They were like genuine striker goals. So
And
obviously,
like
the yeah,
yeah, and like their fixtures are Leicester fixtures aren't bad actually. Brentford
They
this
are
week.
mixed
Then
fixture. I mean, they are
yeah,
more
mixed fixture.
tending towards the
Uh,
good
uh,
fixture rather than the bad fixtures.
yeah.
And
So
we are
like
for the
so,
next
so
fixture.
like so like if anyone is like if anyone is like having a shift from Antonio to someone of like similar price bracket, I think he should be a I think he should be a good pick.
And I think in this particular instance, like we were discussing about Jimenez and Wang, here the
Mm,
class difference is probably not that much, and you can save actually
mm,
a lot of money. I mean, if you're going for Vardy, who is 10.6, and you are going for Iheanacho, who is 7, Iheanacho
mm.
has shown that he can play as a single striker as well.
Yeah.
Nacho is somebody that generally interests you, Arya, or you owned him at any point of time.
Uh, Not this season. No, I
Yeah,
think
obviously, definitely not this season because he is not
yeah.
starting at all this season. But
Yeah, last season he was my go-to towards the end of the season because he was in such great nick. I think he saved a few of my game weeks, and he was definitely in prime form. I don't know why, what happened across the sort of the summer where he fell out of favor with Brendan Rodgers and somehow hasn't been starting, which is surprising because Leicester's results weren't that great early in the season. So you wondered why would you not have a proven goal scorer in the league who was hot on form last season? Why would you not start him? Maybe there was some falling out or some, some issue with the training where maybe he wasn't up to the standard that the manager wanted. But I think he's slowly getting back into the first team and is getting more minutes. So one to watch for later in the season, maybe. Given
he
that,
has to start right now, right? I mean, after the last 3 matches, I mean, I
yeah,
don't
yeah.
Rogers dropping him now. But
No,
he
not
should
anymore. I
start with
think
the
I
best
was
11. I think.
I would think so. I don't think there's any player in that Leicester team besides Vardy who would start ahead of Iheanacho when it comes to the attack or midfield. So I think it's a no-brainer for anyone to have both of them. Vardy, who's already in great form, who can benefit from having another striker to assist or to play off him. So I think Iheanacho is one to watch for as since Vardy is in good form. When a strike partner is in good form, it's sometimes good to be in and around them because you can always get an assist or two. So
Yeah, he's in my watch list. I mean, as a
same,
potential Antonio replacement, I would be looking for in probably 1 or 2 game weeks time. I
yeah,
think it's
yeah,
somebody to actually watch out for.
for
Uh,
sure.
Moving on to City, I mean, people try to beat the Pep Rule every time, and Pep absolutely smashes everybody every week. Uh, so yeah, it's
Don't try
not.
to predict.
Yeah, don't try
Just
to out Pep Pep.
don't simple logic. Don't try to predict him. Take take his player at your own risk. Keep a strong bench. Simple.
It was
Correct.
not 5-0 again, but still Man City beat Burnley, keep clean sheet. Everybody is happy because at this point of time, people are educated that they should go for Man City's defense, which is kind of a boring way to play probably this game because their attackers are so lucrative and so exciting. The only thing that I can add is probably I did mention in the last part about Bernardo Silva, that is, and that he looks exciting. He is somebody who has started the most matches this season. I am not really sure because that will be me trying to out Pep again. But I
Hmm.
think probably he has been given a role where he will be a lot more focused towards the Premier League matches and the other lot of players probably in the Champions League matches. So yeah, I think he also had a price.
No, I think Bernardo Silva started and played, I think, 57 minutes actually
Sorry.
today. Bernardo Silva started today and
Yeah,
he played
I mean,
around 57 minutes.
I did not watch the scoreline. I mean, I did not watch the team sheet exactly. I just know the scoreline that they beat 5-1 Club Braga, which was absolutely predictable after the PSG loss. I absolutely knew they will pass the next team. Um, but what I'm trying to suggest is that Bernardo Silva is seeing more minutes in the Premier League than he has ever seen. So it is sort of like what was happening with Gundogan last season. And if you are watching the games, I'm sure you guys must have watched the game. His presence in and around the box is typical of what Gundogan was doing last season. Although position wise, Bernardo is showing to be starting alongside probably a Rodri, but he is always there in the box. So probably he's somebody to look out for because he's just 7 million and he's very good at attacking. I'm not saying this because he has scored the goal. He genuinely looks like somebody you probably can consider, considering
Yeah.
there's a player out there. Anything else you want to guys want to add? I mean, I think this was pretty straightforward. Everybody knew they would keep a clean sheet. The only
Yeah.
surprise for everybody is that they did not score more, and which was again predictable because they would have their focus would have been on the Champions League match more than the league match. So,
Actually, I just feel like I just feel that Foden and Sterling shouldn't start together in a single match because both of them play in a similar kind of role. So I feel like Foden and Sterling won't be starting together in a particular match.
yeah, I yeah they should not, especially if both of them are playing in the left wing. I think Sterling then has to move to a more central position because if they are in the left side of the things, they both kind of do the same kind of thing. So that will be clashing and overlapping as to what they're trying to do. Uh, this is exactly the reason. See, Foden is a genuinely good player. I have actually he's not one of the he's the only Man City player I've actually seen play live. So I'm a very big fan of Foden. I watched him when they were playing in the Under 17 World Cup, and I actually watched him live. He was sensational. So I'm a big fan of Foden, and if he can nail down the starting spot, he is an absolute fantasy gold because he will keep on scoring and he will keep on ticking at that particular price point. He is amazing. But that is the point. Since he can play a lot of positions, I don't know if he's sure to start. I don't. I'm not sure if Foden is a very good pick. I understand he's a very good punch, and a lot of people will do upside chasing and they can go for Foden, but I don't think it's a very viable pick. I would much rather, contrary to what people say, I would much rather have KDB than Foden. I don't know why. I can't explain why that is, but I think I feel KDB has a higher ceiling in that sense because Foden has so many functions on the field essentially that I think his probably point potential is limited. What do you think, Arya? Like,
Yeah, I personally have stopped trying to guess City midfielders and attackers. I just have no hope. That's why I don't have any, and I just avoid the headache of them not starting or playing cameos, etc. So I'm just gonna go until across multiple game weeks we have certain ideas on who's definitely gonna play each week. And there's a very plumb fixture that's calling out for it like it was this week. I I won't be very tempted to sort of try to take that guesswork. And I think very succinctly put early into the analysis that have a strong bench if you have city mids. I personally am not going to touch them on my team. I think there are other places to target, other teams in form, other fixture swings happening. So yeah, I mean, someone like KDB who's probably going to have the highest ceiling is going to cost around 11.9, 12 million, which is a lot of money to invest
absolutely, I agree.
in a team which may not
Who may not
always
start?
depend on.
Yeah,
Yeah, so that's
I
I'm
agree
just
there as well.
advising against City personally, and just save yourself some headaches and bench strongly. I know a lot of people have Livramento first sub. I think that's a good one to have in any week when you
Absolutely,
play City
and wait for somebody like Gundogan to turn up, like how it happened last season, and
last season.
then
Yeah,
go for
yeah,
it.
yeah.
Next match was typically a boring match. It was Norwich against Brighton. I was surprised that Brighton did not win. So it was like
No,
they both held each other to a goalless draw. I think seeing the match, Norwich probably could have won the match, but I don't know. Probably they don't have the belief in themselves itself. So yeah, I think from a FPL perspective, this was a very important match to a lot of people, including you guys, I guess, who had couple of Brighton defenders. So you guys got the clean sheet, and people who had double Brighton defense, their game week scores
like
are highly bolstered, and people who did not have that single Brighton defense, they're in the 50s. It's like that. That's the equation. People who had two Brighton defenders, they're in the 60s, and that's about it. Because nothing other than that spectacularly happened in this particular match or in this game week. Can we move on to the next match, or you guys have?
Yeah, yeah, let's move
yeah,
Yeah.
on.
sure, sure.
So next match was Southampton against Leeds. What I've written is Southampton gets 3 points against the toothless Leeds. I think they were
Yeah,
absolutely toothless.
that's yeah, that's
Yeah,
perfectly summed up right there. Rafinha was still in, so we were tracking the flights and all of that on in Twitter, which is a
What was the
funny
point of that?
exercise.
Yeah,
Just to see if he's landed, if he's, within, if
fun
his
part
flight hadn't
actually.
landed or if his flight was delayed, then you'd know he'll definitely not play. At least for people who had Rafinha on a wild card or in their teams, that, there was some glimmer of hope for them. Because this was a great fixture, ideally for Rafinha, and I think Leeds have a lot of good fixtures coming up soon. So Rafinha is a good hold either way. I think he's gonna, if Leeds are gonna score, Rafinha is gonna be amongst the, and he's played well for Brazil. I think he scored a brace in 70 minutes. So I think he's a fantastic player. I think teams like Newcastle, who have a bigger checkbook suddenly, and others in the Premier League will pick up Rafinha very soon. I think he's going to be a big summer target for a lot of teams. And yeah, I
yeah.
think that's about it in terms of a lot of
Being
people I
a
know had.
Brazil fan, it like really
Yeah.
happens me to see actually kind of the whole day Brazilian player coming into the fold. Rafinha
Mm,
is absolutely very exciting. But speaking
yeah.
particularly about this match, I think this was one of the most important match for Leeds. They entirely had zero shot on target, which is not heard of from Leeds. And in the entire match, they had three shots, or rather three attempts from somewhere outside the box. They were not even on target. So that pretty much sums about it because Bamford was not there, Rafinha was not there, Calvin Phillips was not there, Koch was not there. I don't know who else was not there. So there are a lot of people who are missing, and I don't know. The team that Leeds had, that probably is not a Premier League level team that was playing that day. Southampton, as we have come to see, even against City, they were very resilient. So it was pretty much sure once Rafinha was not playing that they will probably end up keeping a clean sheet, and that's what they did. The surprise factor was Adam Armstrong not starting. A lot of people had him in wildcard. Uh, it's a bit interesting and a bit confusing as well. I don't exactly know why he didn't start. I understand Broha is good and he's an exciting talent, but I could not envision why both of them could not play. I don't know. Something probably
Mm.
for Hassan Wouldn't explain. Happy days for Livramento owners, I guess, who got him for bench. I was absolutely pissed. I don't own Livramento, but yeah, happy days for the owners and people who got him off the bench. You got him off the bench, right?
Yeah, I
Jota.
did. I did.
Yeah. So yeah, happy days. Let's move on to the next match. Brentford against Chelsea. What I've written is superhuman effort by Mendy to keep Brentford at bay to let Chelsea go top of the table. I
Yeah.
did not think that Chelsea played well. I think Brentford should have won the match and they were probably the much better team. I know Chelsea controlled the game for a longer period of time, did not mean that they were the better team on the field on that particular day.
True. It was just a superhuman effort from Mendy, and I think he continues to sort of
And it's
impress.
a superhuman effort from Mbumo as well. I think he
Oh, hitting
keeps
the
on
post
hitting
challenge.
the woodwork. I mean,
He
I
wins
don't
the
know.
crossbar challenge for sure. Yeah.
He has hit the crossbar 6 times this season now in 8 game weeks.
Insane.
That's
Insane.
surprising. So yeah, uh, how about the Chelsea fan go about it? How did you feel about your team's performance?
Well, I was like super excited to see. Like I was so nervous. Okay, we'll concede now. We'll
Were you
concede
excited
now.
or
We'll
were you
concede now.
I think relief
Excited?
would be the right word.
No. Actually, I was like excited for the first 60 minutes. The game changed in the Brentford favor was with that particular sub. Kovacic sub of Mount Savin. That particular that particular moment, game change. Ideally, he should have, in my opinion, he should have subbed Kovacic with someone else like Jorginho or someone else. So that midfield control would have been there. Once like he was subbed, those midfield control was gone, and then like many shots were considered.
True. I feel let's talk about Chelsea a bit briefly because they are getting onto an important run, and I am sure a lot of people are looking onto a lot of their players and looking to double up, triple up, whatever it is. Uh, uh, Firstly, I mean, there's not much to speak about Lukaku apart from the fact that I understand a lot of people are now who don't own Lukaku. I own Lukaku probably from a very long time since game week 3 or 4. But I understand people who are wanting or who are rather thinking of going for Lukaku, they are now having a doubt as to whether they should or not. My question to you guys will only be this: I don't think it's a bad option. That it's absolutely suicidal that you should not have Lukaku and then your game week is finished. But then again, like do think about the effective ownership because he does not perform. Yeah, okay, it's okay. You can move on. If he does perform, you don't own him. You will absolutely get murdered rank wise. And especially, I don't think the fixtures come any better. I think it's Norwich home, then Newcastle away, and then Burnley home. They are probably the best three fixtures right now you can face. So I understand he's not scoring, but then again, if you think about it, even Ronaldo is not scoring right now, and Ronaldo scored a brace against Newcastle. So there's nothing to say that cannot the same thing cannot happen with Lukaku as well. That's just something to keep in mind. Regarding defenders, I think me and Anjan were having a chat. I think you can tell that with more information, or Ariya can chip in as well. I think you said that if right now you have to go for a defender, the best defender to own from Chelsea is Chilwell and have a
Yeah,
strong bench,
yeah,
right? I found that interesting because, and this has probably got nothing to do with the couple of goals he scored. I understand that that makes him look good and it makes him that okay, he's sharp, he's on point. But even if you consider the fact that both James and Chilwell start, Chilwell is somebody who will probably be more closer to the goal than James
true.
because James will be crossing in and he is always there at the far post. Your opinion, guys? Arya, what do you think? Any?
Yeah. On the first bit, which is Lukaku, I'm definitely considering bringing him in this week for the first time. The fixtures, if you see all the top performers like Vardy, Antonio, etc., they've scored a ton of points against, uh, Burnley and Norwich in particular. Some 19 points, 12 points, 11 points. So all of the big performers this season have particularly done well in those fixtures,
True.
and I think that's what is tempting me towards Lukaku. It's not his, of course, not his form because he's out of form clearly, and I feel like Norwich's defense has definitely been poor. The fact that they don't have a win yet, the fact that it's not looking like they're going to win anytime soon, it's sad. they're definitely going to get relegated or be in that zone. And Chelsea being top of the table, they have incentive to stay there since the chasing pack is very close. So Chelsea are definitely going to comfortably win. Now it's just a question of is Lukaku going to be involved in those goals, and can he afford the FOMO of like not owning him, and the effective ownership of not owning him? It could be devastating. So for me, I am very much and most likely going to do Lukaku for Ronaldo this week, and I mean, I'm of course tempted by Chilwell as well, but I have Alonso in my team, and I think if Chilwell plays midweek Champions League, I'm going to be slightly hopeful that maybe Alonso can come in on the weekend in this game because I think Alonso's potential. I feel like Chilwell or Alonso, whoever plays that game, are going to be in for a lot of points um, because these are attacking defenders who get into really good positions, are going to be involved in the attack, are going to take some shots on goal. So I feel like Chelsea have the highest point ceiling this week. I think whether it's attack or defense, if you if you get lucky on either direction, you're going to be climbing a lot of rank. And so yeah, I think that effective ownership fear is going to make me push for Lukaku, even though Vardy is in much better form and at a similar price point. And I'm definitely considering between the two, but I'm very much tipping in favor of Lukaku right now as it stands. So yeah, but I'm curious to hear from the sort of the Chelsea fan on what the understanding is of Lukaku's potential across these sort of the pretty much the best three fixtures that you can hope for at this point, right? Back to back, um, the ceiling is so high. It's just like scary sometimes think to miss out on put those. It's a bumper that's prize that's sort of waiting to unload on whoever takes that risk.
True. Before, I
Right.
mean, Anjan speaks about it. I was also into a bit of consideration, probably last to last week. I kept my options open whether I should be going for double attack of Chelsea or double defense of Chelsea um, for this particular run because this run looks um, essentially good goal scoring wise. A couple of things that I've realized over the fact which has moved me away from the double attack. One thing is Chelsea does not generally look like a team that is on a run to score like 4 5 goals. If they are winning by a 2 goal or a 3 goal margin, I think their ceiling is at three. We have spoken about their ceiling a lot in the past couple of game weeks. But I think that's important to take into consideration when you're thinking about a double attacking double up. Secondly, if you see Chelsea's lineup, they start with essentially 8 defensive players. So you are left with 3 attacking options who attack, essentially who are attackers. I was thinking about Mount, but I think Mount's form right now is very on and off. I essentially don't think that Werner is a very good FPL option. Probably he might come very good in one particular game week, but I'm not generally, I won't be going that way. So that just leaves you with Lukaku. Other than the fact that if you're taking a Kovacic, I don't know if you want to take that gamble or not. I don't see there being any other equation rather than taking double Chelsea defense if you have to triple up at all. It should be double Chelsea defense and Lukaku in that sense. Anything if Anjan you want to differ from, otherwise I
No,
think
no, no.
that's about it. I think
Exactly. Yeah. The
we feel good.
actually the problem is that you are telling okay, fine. You need to take probably for this particular features of run. You are thinking to take Chelsea defender, two defender. Now the main problem comes which two defender. That is the main issue actually.
For me, I will be going with one safe defender and one probably the defender that is exciting. So if
Hmm.
in the safe category, I think two defenders fall. That is Rudiger and Aspilicueta. So if you have the budget, definitely go for Aspilicueta because he has the assist potential. That choice is entirely dependent on your budget, to be very honest. Apart from that, I think we have already established amongst ourselves that Chilwell is the better option than James. In saying that, I don't think that James is a bad option. He will be coming good as well.
No,
He'll assisting a lot. But yeah, yeah, take your pick. So one of those guys and one of Chilwell and James. I think that's the best way to go about it. Considering a lot of us have Livramento and Duffy to cover. The good thing about Chilwell also is that if Chilwell misses, he misses the entire game. James, if he misses, he might come on for the last 10-15 minutes. So
yeah,
you do get bench point if you have Chilwell. So that's another perk probably of owning Chilwell over James, right? Um, so yeah, but let's move on to the next match, which is Everton against West Ham. What I've written is baffling performance by West Ham to win against Everton. I I have seen the replay, I have seen the match, I have seen the highlights. I did not understand what West Ham were trying to do. Honestly, I have. I think I know Ben Rama has obviously overextended his stay in my team. I'm worried every week that he'll be losing his spot. He is doing a lot of stuff apart from giving fantasy points, and generally when that does happen, he essentially does not look very good. Uh, Ben Rama, uh, be it in real life or in fantasy wise, and I think there might be a debate that's starting whether to lose Antonio or not, and I don't think that's a very bad debate to be honest. I don't think he is that invincible that people are making him. I understand that he is fit, so people are probably excited about the fact that he is fit, and he has never been fit for such a stretch. But barring that, I don't think that. Yeah, granted, after both the international break, West Ham has looked very sluggish, which is I don't know, very weird, but that's true in both the cases. Against last international break as well, against the next match was against Southampton, they drew, I think, 0-0. So yeah, barring all that, they are not looking exactly like the team that was there in the first three game weeks, right? That we have to double up on their attack. What do you guys
yeah.
think about Antonio? And I mean, I definitely think it's time for Benrahma to go. What do you guys think about Antonio?
Yeah, I think Antonio is a hold until there are other places in the team to look out for, because Antonio can, if there's going to be a goal, Antonio is somehow going to be involved. I'm personally not as convinced. I think the conversation around who's going to be the one that replaces Antonio is a very legitimate one. I don't think this is the week where people will make that move, unless they're taking hits, because I think Chelsea is a priority. Um, Having said that, Benrahma is definitely on my chopping block. I'm sort of very much at the end of my rope with him, because he's just not been performing at the level that, because at that same price bracket you have Rafinha, you've got cheaper Everton,
Gray
midfielders.
and
You've
Kukure.
got, yeah,
Dukure is actually Dukure is
injured
right
right
now
now.
injured.
Kukure is out
Yeah,
for, I think, just
He's out for
yeah, but
around 4 to 6 weeks.
yeah, I think there's Townsend and Gray and that
They-
whole lot,
and Bumo.
and I think there'll be Mbuemo at 5.5, Smith Rowe, etc. So there are definitely better people than Ben Rama at this point in terms of those who have high ceiling in that price bracket. So I definitely, but it's not an urgent one for me. I think I have Alan from Everton on the bench, who's got Watford. It's a very easy fixture, and he's pretty much nailed. He's probably not going to get more than 2-3 points, but Ben Rama is definitely a concern, and he plays Tottenham. I think West Ham play Tottenham next week. Tottenham's defense isn't that great, let's be honest. They've also let in a lot of goals, and they don't look that good. Personally, I think though Son is showing form, Kane finally scored, etc. But I do think that West Ham are assets that need to be offloaded sooner or later. It's just a question of how soon and how much does your team need them out, and who do you want to bring in at those similar price points. So for now, I think Ben Rama is the bigger offloading that most people need to do before getting to Antonio in a week or two.
Sure. Yeah,
So
I think, I mean, Arya has summed it up perfectly because
perfect.
I don't think there's much to add. There's not much. I'll just say this: there's not much flair to West Ham as there was in the first couple of game weeks or 3, 4 game weeks. So definitely that does not warrant doubling up on their attack. Although they have kept a
Actually,
clean sheet, their defense have also not looked good. Sorry, Anjali, you were about to say something.
yeah, actually, I wanted to say, yeah, Benrama is definitely top for now. But Antonio, he's having a good number of stats still. But next two fixtures are ideal actually. They play Spurs, then they play Aston Villa next. Those two teams are
Yeah.
not that very sound defensively. So like if you don't have any other priorities in your team, then only you should sell him. But okay, if you are having some other priorities, you can keep him for at least I think next two fixtures. After that, you can sell him for someone like Tony also. But
Absolutely,
because
I do agree to that. For anybody who does have that luxury move wherein everything else is sorted out, and if your biggest move and your biggest concern is you want to move out Antonio, I think Jimenez is playing Leeds. It's a really good fixture, and it will not be a bad jump from Antonio to Jimenez, who is probably also a central figure to his team, also has penalties, and Bulls generally have decent fixture. And you can get an instant return almost. Since Jimenez did not play the last game week, I'm pretty much sure that he'll start and he'll be ready to go. So yeah, something to look out for. And as Anjan also said, Tony, I'm not generally. He's good. He's really good. I mean, in real life, he's really good. But I would rather have Embuemo over Tony because he's the farthest forward, and Tony is kind of dropping deep to create for Embuemo. Eh, and I don't know if it is warranted to double up on Brentford or will they be scoring. Probably the Norwich match is something that you can double up for. That should be a lot of goals to be scored there by Brentford. But barring that, I think yeah, that's about it. Next match was the richest team in the Premier League against the best striker in the Premier League. So the question is Harry Kane back? And yeah, Spurs beat the richest team in the Premier League, which is Newcastle, just in case people were wondering whom we are talking about. So yeah, is Harry Kane back, guys?
It's too soon to say. Too soon to say, and that's a Hurricanes. I think still 12.3 million. It's just a lot of money.
It's
So
12.1 actually.
unless
12.1
oh,
actually.
12, right. So he's fallen, from 12.5 to that far.
Mm.
Um, I don't know. I'm not convinced yet. Tottenham's fixtures aren't that great. They're not. They've got West Ham, they've got Man United, they've got Everton, um, which aren't really the next three aren't the best. So I don't think there's a urgency for Kane, given that Lukaku's fixtures are so great. Given that you've got a lot of other places in your team where you probably need the funds. So I mean, I don't know if 12.1 locking it up on a player who's just finally found his scoring boots, who doesn't really want to play for Tottenham and probably won't play for Tottenham beyond this season. Um, and Tottenham are going to be involved in the Conference League as well. So I don't know. I personally don't rate Kane very highly at this point, given he's not been in great form. He hasn't looked like he really wants to stay at that club. And they have far and the Conference League, and the issue with it is that they have to travel to far off countries that take a lot more time to sort of get there and then get back, and in stadiums that don't have the best pitches, so there's a big chance of injuries, and all of that. So if you factor that in, I think Kane at this point is definitely not at his peak, and I don't see him getting to his peak because he doesn't have any incentive, knowing that he's probably got one foot out the door. And so, personally, I don't recommend Kane. I know some people in the community can be quite crazy and be like, yeah, let's get on Kane. He's got his first goal. He's probably going to get more. And that's probably true. He will get more goals this season. He's not a single digit goals across a season striker. He's one of the best strikers in the world. He's proven in the Premier League, all of that. But next three are not that great fixtures. I think there are better. I think with Lukaku's fixtures, you just can't look away from it personally. So
I do agree.
that's where I'm at. Yeah.
Uh, uh, Incidentally, as you said that you're not that crazy about Kane, so again, I would like to ask you a question. So, who are your favorite FPL players or players that you had a fond FPL memory about, barring Salah? Because I know you will be liking, considering how you play the game, you will be loving Salah. Barring Salah,
Yeah.
some of your favorite FPL players over the year who you have a fond memory of.
Ooh. Yeah, I think except for Salah, definitely I like. I mean, last season Ian Archer I touched upon. Besides that, I think Fernandez. I think previous season Fernandez was a great reliable asset to have. I enjoyed Martinez last season. A lot of good memories there. Besides that, I think I really also enjoyed Vardy in his sort of peak season and sort of thereafter as well. I think he's always a fun asset to own. He's just a likable character. He's a character, so he's always up to his celebrations. Always worth enjoying. And personally, I've always also liked certain underrated players who like I've always liked Jota. I think Jota is an exciting prospect, and if he ever reaches his full potential, I think he's gonna be someone that could be lighting up the Premier League on fire. If he ever the amount of chances he misses, if he were to score, them, I feel like he would be someone who's going to be top of the list in terms of players you must have. So yeah, if Jota ever found his scoring boots at the level of, like a prime Lingard from last season, people would be getting him in as a must-have every week. So yeah, and Lingard as well last season was very enjoyable to own as well.
Good to know. Harry Kane, personally, for me, he is.
Do you
I'm
want
very,
to?
very,
Okay,
very
no, no,
big
no,
Harry.
No, no, go
Ever,
ahead. And then
no, no. Actually, I just thought. Do you want to answer that same question, Somnath? Like your favorite FPL player?
it's a long list.
No, no. Just
Uh,
one. Just one.
just one.
Just
Mm,
one. Just one.
just one. I think
Just one.
Harry Kane. I love Harry Kane as an
Just one.
FPL
Okay.
asset. Uh,
mm,
Incidentally, for the fact that he's burned me a lot of time. I think he's a very exciting prospect. He's that kind of the prospect that can actually change your rank around because somehow, considering the fact that he plays for Spurs, people are never 100% convinced, like a Lukaku or Ronaldo, that you should own a Spurs asset day in, day out and captain him. But he's that good a striker that can change the game around. So, yeah, there have been a lot of seasons, but presently, I think present favorites, Harry Kane and Trent Alexander-Arnold, I've always known them in my team. So, although being a Harry Kane fan, I would still say this. I did touch upon it, I think last year pod or before that as well, that although it does not look like it, Harry Kane is improving number wise because his underlying stats and his touches were improving. But I think Newcastle made him look way better a bit earlier than probably where he has reached. Not Spurs will not be that easy, or they'll not find that much joy against the next set of teams. But yeah, their run from game week 12 is something to look at. So yeah, probably they are, you know, watch and learn or watch your progress. Finally, to last match at Emirates, I think we should give our brother Ariya one more chance to rant about Arsenal. 2-1. The thing that I've written, and I believe this, I think I should have tweeted this before the match. Before the match, I genuinely felt that Vieira is. I would any day take Vieira over Arteta as our manager, just for the fact that the character that he'll bring into the team. I don't know how good tactically he is, but he has
mm.
character and he probably will make the players like men. So what I've written is Vieira outshines Arteta as Palace are unlucky to draw against Arsenal. barring the penalty, which sorry, not penalty, MacArthur should definitely have seen a red card. I don't know if that is not a red card. What is a red card? Barring that, I think Palace were the better team overall.
Yeah. Yeah, I think spot on each of those points. I saw Vieira coaching New York City FC back in 2016, I remember, which was lovely seeing an Arsenal legend, and invincible, someone who's, spent 9 years at our club.
Yeah.
And I'm glad that the fans gave him a warm reception and sort of gave him, a taste of the old times. I know he was part of the bid by Daniel Ek to buy Arsenal as well, along with Henri. So I think if that ever happened, I'd be super happy as well. But besides that, look, Crystal Palace, in the short time they've had with Vieira, look like they actually know, have a philosophy about them, that they look so much more comfortable on the ball. They looked definitely like they had a game plan. They knew the channels on which to pass through. They knew how to defensively hold. So the fact that Arteta has had 2 years to build a philosophy, and you don't really know what that philosophy is, it it
That's
it it
surprising.
bothers me so much to see the back passing that happens at Arsenal. It's like you literally have a corner and then you back pass your way all the way to the keeper, and it just ruins the flow of the game. Back at prime Wenger years, where we got so blessed to watch like free flowing attacking football, slick passing, 1-2 moves, perfect goals, etc. That now seeing this team with a haplessly inexperienced and manager who was supremely lucky in the FA Cup, which is why he's even has a job today. Um, the fact that we have this is, again, I'm ranting here. It's just sad, and we got super lucky. I feel like Lacazette, that final second. I mean, I was even questioning, like, is it even worth watching Arsenal matches? Because it was a late match and I was still watching it, and I was really like kicking myself, like, is this, is the end of the line? Like, until Arteta is out, do I stop watching for good? Um, but then that last minute equalizer still got me off my feet. I was still jumping about and excited. I was like, okay, I
Yeah,
still
we
love
got back
Arsenal.
again. That's
You know,
that's that part.
yeah, I mean, we're celebrating being 12th on the table after 8 games, and it's just so sad. But look, we take the good with the bad, and until Arteta is fired, and I can't wait for that day that comes, because I'll be celebrating that day, and I'll be hitting the bottle, so that because that deserves a celebration, because hopefully that means that our club has woken up to realize that no more inexperienced managers. We go for those who have proven talent, hopefully proven success trophies, um, and not like the first ex-captain from 3 years ago who's barely had more experience than being coffee boy for Guardiola. I feel like sitting next to Guardiola isn't gonna make you a great manager. Of course, it'll show you how a great manager operates, but like that doesn't. It's not a transferable skill like that. It requires years of experience, years of grinding out results, man management, all of that, which clearly Arteta's philosophy puts me to sleep. I hate what he's done to the club in terms of the playing style. I get bored of watching Arsenal games, and I'm always frustrated. It's like, why aren't you forward passing? Why aren't you making those runs? Why aren't you getting in those channels? Anyway, so enough about that. I'm not going to own an Arsenal asset unless someone starts performing miraculously under Arteta, which I don't think is possible. So I'm staying off, even though there are some good options in Smith Rowe and all of that, and Ben White maybe. But I just don't trust Arsenal under Arteta at against any team. So
True. I think we can go on about hours speaking about Arsenal.
yeah, for sure.
So let's not get into that because
Let's not do
I
that.
did
Yeah,
not even start my points. I have a lot, a lot of things to say about Arsenal. Only
yeah,
thing I'll add from an FPL perspective is that uh, Arsenal, although they have the next two matches at home out of the next three, I don't see us keeping clean sheet in any of them. I don't see us keeping clean sheet against Villa. I don't see us keeping clean sheet against. I don't remember the next home match. Probably against Watford home, we will be keeping a clean
Watford.
sheet. Might be.
They have
Yeah,
Villa, Leicester, and then Watford.
yeah.
Yeah,
Leicester, I don't absolutely expect Vardy to
Vardy
go.
to have a party.
Probably might be a brace as well. So yeah, I currently do own double Arsenal defense. It's not by design. It's more of by I don't know how. Yes, I'll be looking to get off that. Yeah, probably. Yeah, I think that's about it. Owning one
No,
Arsenal defender is fine enough because of the price point. But that's it.
actually,
I don't feel anybody to own from Arsenal in that sense. Yeah, Anjan.
yeah. Actually, I don't want to share anything. I just have a query. Like me personally, being a Saka owner, like what's his condition right now? Like, would he be fit for the next match or like something? Any news?
There's no
Ideally,
news confirmed yet
I don't think
on what
he
his.
should not be fit for the next match because had that been a major injury, something would have come out by now.
Yeah,
But then again, yeah, I guess you can take a risk and you can keep him since you have already got him. I would not have suggested buying him right now. But if you
mm,
own him, yeah, then sure, it's a home match. You can keep him. And
yeah.
yeah, as we have already touched, Leicester is also poor defensively, so Arsenal might score as well. Anyways, let's move on to the. We'll do a very quick preview of Game Week 9, guys, because I think we have spoken for a very long time. Thanks to our guest.
Hmm.
We just have got lost into our conversation. We would love to know so much about you. Arya, what we generally do over here, we just talk about next game week's fixture and we take a quick prediction as to how do we see the scoreline playing out as. So the first match is, guys, it's a Friday deadline, first of all. So first match is in Arsenal against Aston Villa. Arya, how do you see this scoreline of this particular match?
I would say 2-1 or 2-1 in favor of Arsenal. Because Villa's defense is also pretty poor, so 2-1 to the Arsenal.
I don't see us scoring two goals, honestly, considering Martinez is coming back to Emirates, and I generally don't feel very confident about Arsenal going into corners because they don't. Pepe does not know how to take a corner. I don't feel there's anybody at the club who can take a corner in that sense. So I don't think we can improvise on the set piece aspect that Villa is suffering from. I don't. It will be a Spurs kind of a performance if Arsenal suddenly scores two or three. I don't see that. I will probably again go for a draw. It will be again a disappointment for us. I'll go for a 1-1 draw. Anjan might be seeing things differently. Owning Saka, he might be dreaming about 3 goals or 4 goals, I guess.
No, 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 no. Actually, I feel like Arsenal would win it by a small margin, probably 1-0.
I don't see it being nil with Watkins especially and things.
And
Might be
Ings
wrong.
as well.
I would love to be proven wrong since I do own two Arsenal defenders. I'm not in a hurry to sell them. Next match is the first match of Saturday, Chelsea against Norwich.
Hmm.
I think everybody's captaincy is going on to this match, mostly at least. So, Anjan, what do you think would be the scoreline? If Chelsea can't get past 3 goals in this match, I don't know which match they get past 3 goals at. What do you
I
think?
feel like we would win it. I feel like we would win it probably by 3-0 exactly.
I also do feel it will be a 3-0. I do see Lukaku scoring. I don't think
Yeah.
he will be
Uh,
fighting this particular match.
no, actually, one fact. Just before coming to pod, Tuchel just gave an interview. So, like,
Yeah.
he just said in his press conference that Lukaku has played a lot of match, and he is like mentally he requires a bit rest. So, like that particular thing would like worrying me a little. But yeah, probably by tomorrow when the lineup comes, things will be more clearer, I feel. But I feel like,
Who are Chelsea in Champions
huh,
League?
huh, huh.
Who are Chelsea playing against in
Yeah,
Champions
pardon?
League? Malmo, right?
Malmo, Malmo.
Malmo.
Yeah,
Yeah, Malmo.
I think Lukaku can have a rest
Malmo.
in that particular match, if anything.
Yeah, probably. Probably.
What's the scoreline for you, Arya? What do you think?
I think I'll stick with 3-0. Yeah, it looks the most likely outcome.
Okay. I wouldn't be surprised if Lukaku scores all three provided he starts. This is brand new information for me that he might not start. Next match is Palace against Newcastle. I would say I do want Newcastle to win the match, but I don't think Newcastle will win it. I think it'll be a 2-1 or 3-2 kind of a match. It'll be a goal thriller.
Yeah,
Both teams
Yeah.
yeah,
can't
I agree.
defend. I feel.
Yeah,
I'm very hopeful as an ASM owner, so
same, same,
I do hope Saint Maximin returns something.
same.
Next match is Everton against Watford. I think it will be another tough outing for Ranieri, especially if DCL and Richarlison do come back. I think it'll be 3-1 or 3-0 to Everton.
Now, I guess I have heard somewhere, Rafa Benitez has been saying that probably Richardson would be fit for this match, but DCL won't be fit for this match.
Is still close.
I'm not. Pardon?
I think I said he is still close. From a guy who was playing every week with the injury to a guy who has to recover for the past 5-6 games, is very. I mean, it's ludicrous. Anyways, I hilarious to say the least. So yeah, what do you say? Predict the scoreline
I feel like
considering the match.
Everton would. I feel like Everton would win it probably by 2-1.
How about
Yeah,
you, Arya?
2-1 Everton.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything much to it otherwise. Leeds Wolves is an interesting match to call. I do see both the sides scoring. I don't see a clean sheet for either of the sides. I think this might be a victory for Leeds, 2-1 to Leeds.
I think it'll be like a 1-all or a 2-all. Um,
I
it's
especially feel Wolves were lucky to win the last match.
yeah,
Sometimes
but
that
still 1-all I think is the
momentum,
most likely outcome in my book.
yeah, yeah.
And
Sometimes
if I think
I
Leeds
mean, I
score,
don't
it'll
know.
probably be Rafinha's involved. I think in some way, assist or goal.
I think Phillips and they'll all be coming back, right? Barring Bamford.
Bamford also.
Mm.
Is
Okay.
he confirmed? Hopefully he comes back. If he comes back, then it's a different ball game altogether. But
Mm.
anyways, moving on to next match. That's Southampton against Burnley. I see probably another clean sheet for Southampton. There's a high
Yeah. True.
potential for Liverpool keeping
True.
another clean. Probably another nil-nil or a 1-0 kind of a match.
Yeah.
I don't. This will be a bit boring. I feel. Uh, Next match is against Brighton. City against Brighton. City is away to Brighton. Might be some repercussions to this match considering City lost this match last time around. You guys remember that was the match I think fans came back. City lost or City draw the high scoring match. So generally suggests that it might be high scoring. I don't think that Brighton will manage to keep a clean sheet, although they are very good defensively. I think City will win this one. I
Mm.
will go with a 2-0 to City.
Same.
I don't see that. Anjan, you would like to differ. You look like you are looking to differ.
No, actually, I feel like
Did I play
City
Shane
would
Duffy in my
would
team?
be. No, 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 no. Actually, not at all. Actually, I feel City would win it probably by 1-0. I feel not like 2-0 or 3-0.
Let's see.
It
Depends.
should be
I
a
think
very tight match.
I
I think.
think they had a very comfortable outing against Club Brugge. So yeah, that will not be a very. I don't know. They have a midweek rest next week as well.
No, no,
Next match
no.
is
Actually, oh, okay, fine. Anyways,
yeah, Brentford against Leicester.
Mm.
Interesting match. I
Yeah.
I think Brentford might win this.
I think so too.
I
I
think
think Brentford got three against Liverpool. I think it'll be at least 3-1, 3-2. I think Vardy's gonna score as well.
I think it will be like a 2-1 kind of a Brentford are very sound defensively as well. But then again, I do expect Vardy or Iheanacho to score. So yeah, I think it will be a 2-1 kind of a match. Anjan, anything else? Like, okay, we
No,
do have
same
players.
thing.
West Ham Spurs, it will not be a 3-3 kind of a match like last time around, and that I can assure. Uh, it will. I do expect both the teams to concede. I think this might turn out to be another draw, probably a 1-all kind of a match, or
Similar thing.
probably West
Yeah,
Ham winning
one
this.
all or two all. I
You
think
know,
it might be two all.
might make it as well. Last match, United against Liverpool.
Oof.
Cricket scores
Big match.
Yeah,
Not
four
exactly.
two, 4-2, 4-3.
3. Really?
Yeah, 4-4-2. 4-2 is at best.
Okay. I don't know who will be the two out of that, but yeah.
I think
Anyways,
one Ronaldo tap in is coming.
yeah, he would like to perform on the biggest stage, especially at Old
Hmm.
Trafford. Yeah,
He's a big match player. Yeah.
I don't think it'll go till 4. I think it'll be like Liverpool 3-1. Because they will try to shut shop. There will be a clear instruction to just sit back and counter attack if possible.
Hmm.
My thinking to it,
I
right?
feel like Liverpool would keep a clean sheet in this match, probably winning by 2-0.
Oh wow. Bold prediction.
In that case, I might have to bring Trent back. Might have to figure out how to bring Trent back in this case.
Nothing like
I'm
that
being
actually.
wary about not having Trent. He can go ballistics. He can go ballistics in this kind of big matches. Okay, Anjan, let's quickly look at your game week 19. If you can read it out for people listening, if anybody is there.
Uh, Actually, right now it's the same team. I have
We have Ramsdale at
Ramsdale as
goal,
my keeper.
Cancelo,
Yeah.
Laporte, James
Hmm.
starting, Livramento you have played over Alexander Arnold, who is surprisingly on your bench, although you
Right
predict a
now
clean
it
sheet.
is.
Yeah,
Hmm.
you're playing Saka, Salah, and Foden in midfield, and Huang, Antonio, and Lukaku. Any transfers? How many transfers do you have? What are your transfers that you're looking at?
Well, I have one transfer and I have 1.4 in my bank. I'm not looking at any particular transfer right now. Probably if Saka is injured and out for a longer period, then probably I will sell him. That's it.
For?
For probably Rafina right now.
Okay. So yeah, I think you have a long time to think about it. It's I think you have a couple more days or 3 more days to go. Let's look
Yeah.
at our guest Aria's team, the team that has been successful and doing well. Aria,
Hmm.
you mind to read it out for listeners?
Sure, sure. I think I have Sanchez at the back who's playing City, so not good, but it's fine. I have Trent who I think has high potential. Livramento who probably will keep a clean sheet. I have Alonso, um, Greenwood, Salah, Jota. Right now, Alan ahead of Ben Rama, though I might switch that later. I have Ronaldo right now, who I'm definitely going to transfer out, either for Lukaku or Vardy, and then Antonio and Saint Maximin, who I think is the sleeper pick. And I know you like ASM as well, so that's my team.
How many transfers you have? What are your
I have one
transfers?
free transfer right now, which
And
I
you don't
think
like to
will
take
be
risks,
the
obviously, so you'll be doing only one transfer. So what is your transfer? Or what are you thinking about that?
yeah. It's basically Ronaldo to Lukaku or Vardy. Mostly will do Lukaku. I am tempted to do a second one, which is to move on Ben Rama to Rafinha, but I don't think I'm going to take a hit. I'm quite hit averse, so and I don't think that's a urgent one to get, given that Leeds aren't looking great without him. So unless he comes up with a solo goal or something, it's going to be very hard to justify, taking a hit for Rafinha, given that Ben Rama is also facing a leaky Spurs defense. So there's no good reason to take a hit right now. So I think my only transfer will be Ronaldo to Lukaku or Vardy. Most likely Lukaku. Yeah.
Let's move on to my team. I have
Yeah.
Ramsdale in goalkeeping position. My defenders are Cancelo, Rudiger, who I expect to come back, and Shaw I'm playing presently just for the fact that I can transfer him out and whoever I bring him will be there. Midfield Benrahma, Greenwood, Salah, Jota. Forwards ASM, Antonio, and Lukaku captain right now. On my bench I have Ben White, Shane Duffy, and Allen, much like you. I have two free transfers, and world seems like my possibility right now. Uh, I don't know what to do. I have 1.7 in bank. I think for me, selling Shaw is probably one of the priorities. I'm looking at. I'm a bit. I'm deliberating whether I should go for Trent or should I go for Chilwell. I think Chilwell also has good fixtures in the next three. I have to look out for the Champions League match as to how Chelsea line up for that, first of all. And I would ideally like to move on Greenwood or Yotta. I don't know. What do you guys feel? What should be my transfer? I'm looking at. Ideally, if you look at it, it probably looks like a team that need to wildcard, but I will not be wildcarding with having two free transfers. My issues are Diego Yota, who we have discussed, probably should play this match. Greenwood is an issue. Shaw is an issue. Ben Ramaya probably is not an urgent issue. So yeah, that's about it.
I think the Shaw one
Whom
is
we
the
are,
main one.
yeah, show is the priority, I feel. But if you want to sell either Greenwood or Diego Jota, whom we are looking to exactly?
I think I'll be
You are like
downgrading.
looking at. Hmm?
No, I'll be downgrading. I'll be mm, most certainly I'll be getting Mbemo.
Um, yeah,
Hmm.
I feel like
Even
it's a very good transfer actually, and like Brentford fixtures are good
Yeah,
from now.
they're turning from game week 10, and I don't particularly
Yeah,
feel that this particular game week is also a bad picture, considering it's against Leicester.
yeah,
yeah.
Um,
yeah. So,
yeah, that's one transfer that I'm looking at. Second transfer, the second free transfer is obviously for Shaw. Shaw needs to go because my other two defenders are Duffy, who is playing against City, and White against Aston Villa. It's not a bad fixture for White, but yeah, I never know. Or I can probably keep Shaw, but I don't want to keep losing value on Shaw because I see his price plummeting and plummeting from now onwards.
actually, yeah, actually, see the United picture. Do you feel that they would keep clean sheet in
No,
next
I have
probably
absolutely no
three matches?
intention of playing Shaw. I have no intention of starting Shaw in my 11. It's just about without transferring him out. Also, I can manage a 11 that can be potentially lethal. That
Okay.
is my point.
But you still
Because
have, I mean, you have to use up one transfer at least. So, you
yeah,
know,
I'm looking to actually take a hit, but my thing is like I want to prioritize what my hit is right away. I'm just looking at whether I can play Ben White and actually transfer out Ben Rama, or I can actually transfer out Shaw and keep Ben Rama for this one game. So that's my
yeah, I
dilemma.
think with 1.7 in the bank, you could easily do Ben Rama to Mbeumo, Ben Rama to Rafinha, and do the Shaw to a Chelsea or a City or whoever. There's so many options in defense ahead of Shaw that
But I, I
those
have
two could be your
I do
transfer.
have incentive to keep money in the bank because at some point in time I probably am looking to convert White into Trent Alexander-Arnold. So yeah, I need the money. So that's why the
So
downgrade of
Mbeumo,
Mbeumo. Yeah.
yeah.
Um,
So like you are thinking to move like from White to Trent. Then for sure
potentially,
you are looking for someone else like Chelsea
yeah,
defender or someone
that's
else.
what I was saying. I'm probably looking at a Chelsea defender because the next three, as we already stated, is Norwich, Burnley, and somebody else I forgot.
Newcastle, yeah.
Norwich, Newcastle,
Newcastle
Burnley.
and Burnley. Yeah. So they look. I think all three of them look like a clean sheet to me, at least in my eyes. So yeah, if I can nail down a Chelsea defender, I think that's especially Alonso or Chilwell. So a lot depends on tomorrow's match. Let's see. I'll get my Chelsea triple up as well, and yeah, that should be about it. Anyways, I have a lot of time to think. So I'll bounce off ideas of you guys. I think it's pretty late. Uh,
Yeah,
so let's wrap it up. And thank you so much, guys, for watching. Thank you so much, Arya, for coming. And we would like you to place the request for like and subscribe for us this game.
of
This
course, of course.
yeah.
No, I mean, as y'all, can see, this was a really good, discussion about everything FPL. And if you enjoy this sort of content, please do like, share, and subscribe, and hit the notification bell as well, so that you're always tuned in to new videos that come out. And these are videos that take a lot of time and hard work behind the scenes that I've been privy to this week. So make sure that you support this channel and make it grow into something that we all can be proud of.
Thank you so much for that.
Thank
And
you.
as Arya said, I will not be reiterating that, but please do
Mhm.
subscribe to the channel if you are somebody who do watches our video regularly. Subscribing actually shows that people are loving our content, and it gives us basically a push to do even better quality content. So yeah, that's about it. Thank you guys. Hope you guys have a good FPL game week. May your arrows be green. It's goodbye from me, guys.
Goodbye.
See you.
Yeah, bye.